Faders of the Lost Art.
Well, welcome. We have an amazing complimentary introductory music here at our fellow AEA Ribbon Mics. Shout out Wes Dooley, but a big shout out to Roger Cloud here, giving us a space. Cloud Mics, man, we appreciate you guys so much. We're coming to you live, NAMM 2025, Faders of the Lost Art. Let's go. I'm here proudly with some very awesome individuals. Most of you may know my co-host, Bob Horn. Nonetheless, he is a legend. You better respect it. My man, Maor Appelbaum, mastering engineer, but some of you guys may not know he is the brainchild behind the oven and the stove and a bunch of other amazing hardware units, but the oven is on Plugin Alliance, so go check that out. Now, Eric Emery, my boy, he's been killing it lately. He's Travis Barker's engineer. He did the latest Blink-182 record that just came out. He's got some really cool stuff in the pipeline. He's worked with Alice Cooper, and he also has Dutch and Dutch 8Cs.
Nice. All true,
dude. And he's a sick individual, dude.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on the show.
We got to get more on the 8Cs.
Yeah. Dude,
you're the only one.
You're definitely, your mastering game is going to go up tenfold when you get the 8Cs. No questions asked. I'm telling you.
Actually,
I'll finally hire you.
I'll tell you this.
Yeah, dude.
It'll be time.
Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
I can tell you guys that I actually knew of Dutch and Dutch before they were distributed in America.
Oh, wow.
Because they came to check out the area. And my studio was kind of a landing ground for a lot of brands to come and test the speakers. The old studio I had, you remember the one in Reseda? Yeah. And they came there and showed me the speakers, and they were starting to kind of figure out where their brand is going, and you know, and look at now. You have this here, so so I know of them.
Yeah.
They're good speakers, so I do much respect for them.
So what speakers do you use, Maor?
Well, I'm a long-time user of PMCs.
Oh,
Mine are actually passive PMCs. They're
what model?
It's their IB1S.
And your amp?
It's a Bryston 4B SSD Square.
Okay. You're going straight into the city power, or you do any conditioning?
Oh yeah, so the whole system is like, you know,
like you had an electrician come out and do your whole house kind of deal,
well,
or you have a couple units?
So it's a combination, because I have it's a new construction house, so we run solar and grid.
Oh, okay.
And it's underground wires.
Does the sun make your mixes a little warmer?
Brighter.
Got it.
And when the sun goes down, then it's dark.
Then the mixes get darker. Okay,
then I get the darker
you just there you go. You
gotta finish all the pop
work
stuff by
accordingly.
4 p.m.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
And
like,
you
and
work
if
on the
it's
metal
raining,
shit a little later.
Right. If it's raining, it's a bit more wet sound.
Got you.
So I go by the weather.
Got you.
But yeah, I use basically those PMCs with the Bryston and the Maslick mastering console. Everything is connected to like real clean power. I have regulators, conditioners.
Favorite outboard gear, not your own?
I have a combination of my own and the others. So
Okay,
the
let's
favorite
hear it.
that I got is, my favorite is like my
It's got to be
kids,
your
right?
own. That's why you made the outboard gear, right?
Well, I
Anyways.
co-collaborate. I like to give credit. My partner
who are your
Chris from
co-collabs?
Handy Amps. Huh?
Who are your guys?
So the ones that I collaborate with, Handy Amps, Chris Henderson from Handy Amps.
Shout out Handy Amps, yo! They've been making the craziest gear forever.
Yeah.
But yes,
I totally agree, and we have 6 products right now. We're gonna have probably 10 by next year. We have the stove, the oven, the grill, the cooker, the roaster.
Did you ever use the JCF?
All culinary.
Of course, I'm a big fan of JCF.
That's where this all was born, wasn't it?
So I have the JCF Latte.
Okay.
And I have the JCF 88.
Okay.
So, I'm a big fan of Josh. I mean, I know Josh. When I used to work for Sylvia Massey,
wow.
He came one time to visit there with Will Kennedy, and we met up, and I'm like, I like this guy. He's a genius. And
nice.
I've been using his, I would say most of the records I've done were done with his gear. I love what he does. He's a great designer, great guy, and his converters are just a different league. And I use other stuff. I have Lavery's, I have Lynx. Shout out to everybody. I mean, guys,
real.
You guys make great gear.
For real.
It's like
Yo,
taste.
we're blessed. We're blessed.
It's
for
like
real.
pizza.
What's your favorite gear, Eric? Favorite piece of outboard gear? Or two, whatever.
Anything by Chandler. I'm obsessed with Chandler stuff.
Clean as fuck.
The Chandler Red is my favorite preamp ever made.
Cool.
Sick.
The Zener is my favorite. Probably maybe
And
Outboard
for
Gear.
anything, drum mics, vocal mics, all of it? Yeah?
If you gave me only Chandler stuff, I would be super happy.
Nice.
TG2. So TG2. The red microphone is the best. Can I just swear on this, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, awesome. Because I swear a lot.
Yeah,
So the
same.
Chandler Red is the best microphone I've ever used. It has the preamp built into it.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I track my own vocals a lot
Wait,
too.
the preamp's in the mic?
Preamp's in the microphone. It's the
What?
red preamp, and it's in
Okay.
the mic itself, and the gain is just on the back.
Damn.
And there's like, which ends up being really cool because the most important distance is like the mic to the preamp length, cable length.
Yeah, gotcha.
So that is just being built in. It's like
They got it all dialed in.
It sounds pristine. It's
Yeah.
great.
You don't gotta fuck with cable length and all that shit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And then it's just line out. Yeah, it's just line out into whatever. So mine's currently my vocal chain is that line out into 1176 into an LA2A into my DAW.
Where do you like to hit your compressors at? What kind of gain reduction?
I'm pretty heavy-handed, dude. It depends. I do a lot of rock music, so like I'm
Yeah.
trying to just like, and I'm heavy-handed on the front end. I commit a lot of stuff.
Oh shit, that's ballsy, dude.
EQ compression and stuff. So slamming pretty hard. Sometimes like if it's a rock guy, like -8, -10 going
Oh
in.
shit,
Yeah.
okay. And if it sounds good, sounds good.
Yeah, I like to use the distortion a little bit. Like I really like that. If
Okay.
I'm doing like a pop thing or like I work on some jazz stuff too. Definitely nowhere close to that.
Favorite mics?
Chandler Red. And then like for vocals or for just anything.
Whatever, yeah.
I love Coles.
Yes.
4038s.
Yes.
I use those a lot. Those are great on piano. They're great on acoustic guitar. They're great on obviously drum rooms.
You ever try on overheads?
Yeah, they're great on overheads.
Overheads.
Yo, you know who's really good on overheads? Cloud.
Cloud stuff.
I do it all the time. Whenever I call it old school, but it's lazy, dude. Just the one overhead when you don't have time or space or whatever. Just throw
Just
the one
mono.
overhead.
You're just going mono overhead.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
That
Like-
was a trick. A lot of times you had the normal overheads, and then you had the back overhead above the snare.
Yeah.
punch.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you just angle it depending on how many mics you have. But I like to mic my kits as basic as possible. You know, so like I do get a stereo pair if I can, but if I don't really, you know what I mean? Like it depends on the situation, but if I can, I'll put the mono one up first.
Really?
Always.
I'm doing
Always.
like a lot of the rock guys I record and the metal guys, they have like these enormous kits. So I'm using like sometimes 20, 25 mics
Yeah.
on them. So I think it's
Yeah.
pretty.
And that one I'm talking about, I only parallel it in.
Oh,
you
really?
know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't use it for room. I just literally use it to parallel it.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So and it's sweet, dude. It's
Yeah,
sweet.
that's a sick move.
By the way, the Chandler, just a good shout out. Their EQ is awesome. You know,
Which one?
They have the curve bender.
That's
Yes,
right.
that is
Yo,
fantastic.
that's
Really
the
good
one.
EQ. I even the plugins of that
Yes.
thing
Yeah.
is rad. Like the soft tube.
Oh yeah, major.
Yeah,
You
Wade
own
is a great guy.
RS-124?
Yeah.
I don't own one, but I've used them and they're excellent.
Yeah.
What's your favorite mics, Bob, these days?
The Coles, the M49, which they actually did a reissue, which is incredible. The Neumann. The Lewitt 1040 LCT.
Yeah.
The Batman mic,
Yeah.
And then all the staples we've always loved, like 251, stuff
Yeah,
like that.
of course.
Yeah.
C800.
Have you
Oh,
tried
the-
the red mic?
No, I want to. I don't do that much recording, but the Soyez. You
Oh
guys know
yeah,
that?
I've heard a lot about that with the
weird
little.
looking mic?
Yeah.
I heard that on acoustic guitar. It's the best acoustic sound I've ever heard in my life.
Damn.
Yeah, those mics are really cool.
That mandolin sound fire over there, whatever that thing is.
Yeah, it's our theme song.
Yeah, that's
shredding over
right.
there.
Love it. Shredding.
I actually like the background music. It kind of sits with the
Yeah,
interview.
it
creates
actually works
tension.
great because Maor is from the countryside, so it makes him feel at home.
It is. It almost feels like we're in like a Tarantino movie or something. It's
Yeah.
very that kind of music.
Yeah.
We're driving down Vegas,
Yeah.
back roads.
Nice.
Favorite plugins?
You first.
Right now, the newest favorite is the Mixed Wave Pultec.
Mixed Wave Pultec. You said that one already.
Yeah.
What's your second favorite?
Okay.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna do an old school plugin you can't live without.
Oh wow. Dang, come back to me. I
Okay.
gotta think.
Maor?
I don't use much plugins, but the plugins that I do, Matrix Hello, the 432 Soundtech, Make Believe.
Nice.
I think that thing is really
Yes.
good. I
Shout
like
out
it.
Make Believe and
Yeah.
Metric Halo.
I'll
Our
say the
boys-
Metric Halo channel strip because that's been
There you
around
go.
Yeah, it's
since
been around.
the 90s.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
The Metric Halo channel strip is a sleeper. It's
Yeah.
got everything. It's got gate, compressor, great EQ,
Yeah.
very surgical. Favorite new plugin?
Maybe a new plugin?
Yeah.
I don't use many new plugins. The Mixwave stuff is excellent. The,
It
the
is.
Pultec is
Mixwave's
great.
sick. Have you seen their you like pedal stuff, right?
Yeah.
You seen their Centurion?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's awesome.
All the amps are sweet, man.
Sick.
And
dude.
I've used a real Klon a bunch, and it
Sick.
it's pretty. It sounds pretty close to the real
Yeah,
thing.
dude, that's sick.
It's just
now
not
you got 100 of
$4,000.
them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, the Pultec, and Bob is right. That Pultec that Mixwave did, I heard it.
It's next level.
And I was very
It's
impressed.
it's really hard to do front to rear depth with plugins, and there's a few plugins that do that. I want to give a shout out to Mog Audio.
I feel like it's getting louder.
It is. The more saucier the information we give you, the louder she
Yeah.
plays. So it's like getting more intense, you know.
We need to
But-
scream more
yeah.
now. Like, get angry.
But yeah, so shout out Cliff and the whole Mog family, awesome people, Mog Audio.
Yeah.
You know, their EQs, their compressors, all their stuff is really good, but that really helps you get that front to rear depth, and their plugin is one of the few that helps, and Mixwave stuff as well. It kind of
Yeah.
the
that's one
Unfair
thing I've-
Child too, by the way.
Yeah.
The Eric
Oh,
Valentine
really?
new one.
Yeah?
It's crazy.
Oh, he has a
gives you that?
plug-in?
Yeah, he made it with Mixland.
Huh.
Sick.
But it's like the most analog-y sounding plug. but-
Mixland is
Yeah.
Jessie, right?
Jessie
yeah,
Reyez,
and they
yeah.
teamed
That's
up
right.
with Eric Valentine, and they made a
Sick.
plugin of the Unfair Child.
That's so dope.
And they took like 2 years on it and
Huh.
like painstakingly recreated his like exact Unfair Child he likes, and it sounds awesome.
Man, I gotta write that down.
Yeah,
Jessie Reyez Subloom. You use that?
yeah, I use that.
Fucking sick.
That's a
too.
great plugin.
Yeah. Favorite old school plugin you can't live without?
Decapitator or
Fuck yeah, dude.
Nice.
Shout
Avid
out.
Lo-Fi.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, hell
nice,
yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Shout out Avid for sure.
I love it. Anytime I get a tambourine, it's automatic lo-fi, and then you take the sample rate thing and come down one notch.
Yep.
And then 1 dB of distortion.
Yup.
Like,
Kind
I go to 15 on the sample rate for like harsh vocals a lot. That's a good one.
Oh, nice. Nice.
I have to say that the Chandler Curve Bender with soft tube, which exists for a lot of years, I think that thing is great. And I think even the old Wave stuff.
I was
like
hoping
the
to
R-
get some sort of wave sauce out of you. You've been using them for a while, no?
Well, I mean, that company exists from like 90
That's what I'm
something,
saying.
and I've knew.
And you've had it since '96.
I've had from an old time. I still own.
Your Windows 97 with sound.
No, you think that's funny? I have 7 L2s hardware.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a Max Bass hardware.
I have 5
Wow.
of those.
That's
It's called Max BCL.
Well, mine's brand new in the box.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, Max Bass was a different unit. You're talking about Max BCL, the one that
No,
has the limiter.
I have a Max Bass. I'll send you a picture of it when I get home.
Is it the one that has the limiter, bass, and compressor?
I don't know. It's still brand new in the box.
Okay, then it's probably the BCL.
I think
the
it is.
Max
No, it's-
Bass was a different unit.
It says Max Bass on it.
Okay, so when you get home, you give me a picture, and we'll
I'll
figure out
trade
who
you.
was right.
I'll trade you my best piece of gear for your best piece of gear. We're
Magic
talking, we're
Death
talking
Eye
wave.
is
We're
kind
talking
of-
waves. We're talking waves gear.
Okay.
Magic Death Eye. Yo, shout out
Yeah,
Magic Death Eye.
I have the original.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
By the way, that thing is amazing, and
It
the
is.
plugin as well too.
quick
Yeah.
question for you guys. There's some plugins, and I won't say which one I think is better, but there's Universal Audio and Plugin Alliance.
Yes.
They both make the MOG. They both make
Yes.
CL1B. They both make
Yes.
this and that. There's definitely one that's better than the other. Does anyone agree?
I agree 100%.
I'm not this is controversial, but I'm not a big UA fan in general.
Okay.
So Plugin Alliance for me all the way. That's easy.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I'll stay in the unknown, but there's definitely one better than the other.
Yeah.
I have an answer. It's not popular.
Talk to us.
Doesn't matter who is better or not, because one can sound better for one song, the other can sound better for a different one.
That's true.
why the whole emulation thing, this is my take on it. It doesn't matter who cloned the SSL or Neve or whatever you want better, because sometimes the one that is not that good
True.
actually works better for your needs. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's a
I mean,
processor.
hey, the Waves SSL channel is not the most faithful. I mean, it's amazing, but you can't say it's a perfect recreation.
Right.
And it's the most used by
Yeah.
the most engineers on the face of this planet.
90% of my mixes are the Waves SSL channel stream.
Yeah.
See?
Boom, prove my
And
point.
so that's what I'm saying. You know, we don't have to deal with who nailed it. We have to deal with who do you like working with
What
most.
color do you want to put on
Yeah.
your paper?
You agree?
I agree, but what I was talking about was when the plugins are flat and the signal running through
Oh,
it,
the tone.
which is truer, like
Oh, yeah.
to not being there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, what's the answer?
My answer, I like the plugin lines better.
Yeah.
You know,
That's kind of where I landed
like
as
you
well.
pull up the Mog on both, and
And
you
here's
listen
the
to
thing:
both.
it's hard to say because of the whole hardware, thing too. You have that. What up, Pharaoh? Shout out, Pharaoh. We have that hardware thing. It's like, oh, okay, the whole DSP, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of a little bit of a bias, or just like an unfair fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, clones. I'm over the whole clone thing. I don't care if a mic sounds like a 47 when it's trying to be. I just care if it sounds good.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. If it's more, if it's closer to the end goal.
That's like the mixed wave Pultec, my favorite Pultec that exists. I kind of don't think it sounds like the real Pultecs I've encountered in the studios. I think it sounds a little different, but it's my favorite of all the plug-in Pultecs.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never
Absolutely.
gotten a chance to use the hardware. It's like the IS3 or whatever, the mixed wave one. It's like a different one than the normal.
Right.
Than the EQP1A.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It's nice to have the 70. I like that on there. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that everyone's finally doing mixed knobs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
just
And
the mix knob sometimes is not that like people love it and it's great, but sometimes the mix knob is a problem because doing that
Phase.
changes the sound of the unit. And so
The tone, I mean, yeah, but again, it's not about the faithfulness of the
no,
unit.
no. What I'm saying
right?
is even in analog, sometimes when you put a mix knob, it changes the actual sound of the unit.
the
So-
circuitry and the
Yeah,
because you're
and-
adding components, you're adding solder,
Exactly.
you're adding everything. Yeah,
and sometimes it's needed because it gives the new life to the unit.
Absolutely.
And in other cases, like with us with the oven line for oven units, we don't have a mix wet dry. The plugin has it because Brainworks
Of course, too
added
easy.
the stereo widening, mono
course.
output, and but in hardware sometimes it's a give and take.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with. By the way, since we're talking about this, the loudness compensation where people want that when you raise it that it will go down.
Yeah,
The problem
auto
when you
gain.
do that, it doesn't match the reality.
because you're changing the curve and the Munson Fletcher Munson and the
also,
whole nine.
when you're lowering down, how do you lower it down? You're lowering down by a measurement, a number, but harmonics, they
Right.
add something to the sound. So
Right. Perceived.
Exactly.
Yeah, the
So be
difference
aware.
between perceived and actual paper, seeing it on paper. Well, just
makes sense.
mix better.
Yeah.
I quit until they fix that.
Yeah.
no, you're not quitting. I want to tell you something, just kind of for the record. We all know this industry, and this industry is full of a lot of types of people.
Of course.
Okay. I met Bob almost 18 years ago.
Wow.
Wow, that's a long
Okay?
time.
Long time.
I met Eric like 18 months ago.
Yeah. It
You
feels
can
like a long
have
time.
a baby.
Yeah.
You can have a baby.
That's true.
So,
we're working on it.
Okay, good. So I met him, and I just came to LA. I was working for Sylvia Massey, and I came to LA. In the nights I was mastering, during the day I had to take another gig. I was working at Sam Ash,
Sam Ash.
in Canoga Park, and Bob walks in with a friend, and I was in the pro audio department,
Wow.
and they had an SSL AWS, and you were talking to somebody about it, and I just we were talking. I was like, oh yeah, I work here, and we just met, and he was so cool to me, which is totally the opposite of what I met in LA when I landed, and we became friends and stayed friends. So we worked together. We've done a lot of records together. We collaborate together on testing stuff. He did presets. He's actually a proud owner of Oven Number 2.
Yeah, there
Yes,
you go,
sir.
yeah.
That's right. And he's an amazing user of it. I actually get all my ideas of how to use the oven from Bob and his great presets as well.
Thank you. Thank
So
I had to do a shout out to this guy.
absolutely.
Well,
Are you
thank you.
kidding me? That's why he's sitting here because he's a legend,
See?
I appreciate it.
sir. Well, who would have thought you went from working at GC to
No, not GC.
Sam Ash.
Sam Ash?
SA.
I'm sorry. SA. Is there a difference?
Well,
you don't have to answer that.
No, no,
You
you
went
know,
from
that's
working
the
at
story
Sam
of
Ash
change.
to being one of the
They sweep the floors
co-creators.
more often at Sam Ash. It's a little cleaner.
They have more turntables plugged in the DJ section.
Right.
To one of the co-creators of the oven and the grill and the microwave and stuff.
Oh, I don't have the microwave.
Oh.
That's Waldorf.
Oh,
You were just
Don't
naming
tell anyone.
appliances.
Yeah.
Yeah, good thing you didn't say, a toaster oven.
So what are the other pieces of gear you have? You have the oven, the stove,
The oven, the stove, the grill, the cooker.
the grill, the cooker.
The
Wait, just
roaster.
the oven
Okay.
is a saturator, EQ.
So we have 5, but 4 right now ready, available stereo processors that can do saturation, tonal shaping, coloration.
They're
you know,
almost
jelly.
they're like a
Mojo boxes.
Majo
Yes.
Majo. They're like a Majo channel strip.
Kind of a stereo mojo in the box. And so those are, and they're different in sound.
Okay.
Like the oven has a lot of weight in the low end and smooth high end. The stove is very bright and popish. That's why they use it in a lot of pop,
Okay.
tours. The grill has a lot of beef in the mids
Sure.
and very aggressive EQ.
The grill has beef. It makes sense.
The
okay.
cooker is very clean. They use it also for
Oh,
touring.
keep your cooker clean. Okay.
So
Always.
they're all different. Then we have preamps, like the
Okay.
roaster and the steamer. Bob
Okay.
liked the steamer a lot.
Okay, that's a real steamer, dude.
So,
So
and we have
dude,
other products, and then I do other stuff for other companies.
How'd you settle
That's
on the
sick.
culinary line of product names? Like, why was that a thing that inspired you?
So, in my job as a mastering engineer, I always look at things as environmental. Like, where did I hear that song? What band? What show? So everything is visual and sensual.
So you just you attach something to remember.
Right, and so
Yeah.
I felt like I want something that can do this, and Chris and I have known each other for years, with the handy amp stuff, and I have and stuff, and I was like, I have a concept. Why don't we start working on? And then the name actually dictates the job. That's part of how I work. The name is a concept, and you go through the whole process of putting that name to the result. And the stove was a result of we need something for pop. We don't need the whole oven to cook it. We need a bit of heat underneath. We need
Nice.
So you think of the idea, and that becomes a concept that actually translates.
It's
The
like
mix.
you're synesthetic, but like you're really hungry at the time instead.
Well, what do you do for a living? You're cooking someone else's meal, right?
It's true.
Mixer,
It's a great analogy.
Right?
It really is.
when you arrange a song or produce, you're taking ingredients,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
That's where it comes from. And every line of product, I have other products that I do for other companies. It's all conceptualized based on what the results we want to get.
So the real $1 million question that everybody wants to know is when are we going to get a plug-in version of the rest of your gear?
Good thing you're asking me now, because there is. So I can't say right now the company,
Sure.
but we're actually working on a grill,
Okay.
which is the more aggressive EQ and
Beefy,
more,
transient-y.
it's very aggressive. It's solid state, but
Okay.
it's really has a body,
Got
and
it.
you can saturate it really hard.
Ooh.
You heard it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be next in line. And then I have other signings of other plugins that I'm doing, which are going to be different concepts that I'm working on. And then later on, we might do the stove, which actually was a tech nominated. Last year,
nice.
it was
Yeah,
nominated for the
congrats,
Tech
dude.
Award.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
so yeah, we're going to have a bunch of stuff, and I'm collaborating with some companies that are here already for newer products. And just so you guys know, it ain't stopping there.
Nice.
We ain't stopping.
If you know Maor, you know he does his best to get in the room with everybody, shake everybody's hand, say hi to everybody, talk to everybody. He definitely knows quite a few people.
Yeah.
So very good job at that. One of the best networkers I know.
we have to remember we're a community. If we think as lone wolves, the industry will just collapse.
They'll eat us up.
Right. You have to be, it's what you call strength in a pack. Okay? I believe in share the wealth. If I can make him more money by bringing him some work, which I've done, and he does to me, or get him a product that he can make his work faster, better, and all that, he makes more money.
Right.
If I can, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
can't just think as, oh, I'm in my little box, and
This
that's
is my
where I
crew.
live.
This is my clique, and y'all could F off.
Exactly. And if you look at the history of this industry, we had studios where people were going from Studio A to Studio B and visiting their buddy at Studio C. And, hey, what are you working on? Oh, I'm doing this. Hey, you got to check out this new preamp.
That's the one thing we've been losing a lot is like that studio camaraderie. It's like everybody's, kind of like dispersing as opposed to you'd always have studio neighbors and studio mates to bounce ideas off of, or just go smoke a cigarette with them and just talk shit, or then you end up figuring out how to deal with this lawyer problem or this plugin issue or whatever, you know what I mean, just by hanging out and going out for a smoke, so
Yeah, now we got to stay conscious of it and make an effort to reach out to people.
everybody, I'm constantly booking calls and stuff. It's like, what? When did we grow up so fast?
Yeah.
You ever notice that the best records were done in those environments, not just because of a budget or equipment, but because it was like adding spice here, adding spice there. Everybody was really, even if they're not working on your project, just like you said, you were going for a cigarette break,
Right.
and you're like talking to this producer. It's like, oh yeah, if you put that on the snare,
Right.
it's gonna make it better. And you come
Exactly.
back,
Boom.
and it's like
And
somebody
then
taught
change your
you a
life.
year of work.
Change your life. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
I just didn't want any one of my engineer friends to visit and hear something bad. So,
Just
make
locking
sure
the
it sounded
door.
good.
Don't come in. Don't
Right,
come in.
Right.
No, we need this in environments like NAMM, AES,
Oh, yeah.
parties at studios.
That's
We
right.
just had a party not long ago.
We're having
right?
a party tonight. What are you talking about?
Right.
Yep.
Those things are important, and I think we should keep doing it and keep talking, keep connecting.
Absolutely.
And that's the support we need as an
No, hats
industry.
off to that.
Well said.
Yeah. What is one of your pet peeves for artists you're working with or something?
Well, the obvious one is demoitis is the worst
That is-
thing
yeah.
ever.
Sure.
Give me that rough mix so I can go home and listen to it for 2 weeks, so that when you send the final mix, I just want it to match that.
Yeah.
Um,
Just 1 dB louder or something.
as someone who works a lot, I sometimes get frustrated with people that need to hear something fully realized to make an opinion about it.
Have a
Because
vision.
I'm like, this is gonna suck. We're wasting our time, and they're like, no, I gotta hear it. And then I spend 2 hours, and then they go, you're right, it sucks. And I'm like, well, I just
Right.
spent 2 hours, showing you. Just trust me. That probably, and then a million other
There's
bad edits and stuff.
I have a pretty good story about that. We call it, it's a Dave anecdote, and it's Jack, legendary engineer Jack. He worked with Yoko.
Yoko, yeah.
Jack Douglas.
Jack Douglas, that's right.
Yeah.
So he's working with Yoko and finishing an album, and they listen to it top to bottom, and they get to the last record, and Yoko looks at him, and it's like the final listen down. And he's like, Yoko says, Jack, I'm not sure if it's done. I think I need to, hold on. And she brings a shoebox, and inside the shoebox is a dead mouse, right? And she says, I want to put him on the record. Didn't think twice about it. Jack told the assistant, go put a 47.
Put a
up on
blue
stand.
mouse.
Yeah, no, get a 47. Put him on a stool. Get him some water, and go ahead and set it up. Hits play and record on the record. Lets it play through, and he looks at her. He's like, I don't think we got it. We do it one more time. Give him one more take. Play and record again. Listens down. The end of the song, she looks at him. He goes, I think we got it, Jack. I think the album's done. So that's the Mike the Rat story.
Mike the Rat.
Sometimes
Wow.
it's faster to Mike the Rat than to argue about it.
Yeah, this is true.
But if you know your client, that's a different story.
I found for me something
Experience.
that's frustrating that I had to kind of learn the hard way is I noticed as someone who works with a lot of rock bands and pop artists, pop artists send you their song and they expect it to mostly be the same but a little cooler. So if you change too much, it's an issue for them. With
Right.
rock artists I work with, they expect you to change their song. Like they want it to be different, so they send me DIs, MIDI for the drums. Like
Wow.
they don't commit to anything. So then I'm sitting
Wow.
there And they go, just make it cool, just make it cool.
Oh,
and I'm
shit.
like, do you want to sound like Muse or do you want to sound like Dimmu Borgir? Like there's so
Tool,
many,
like,
so that, and then they don't know.
Yeah.
And then you go through this process of like going back and forth, and it's like, you know,
especially with an indie or a new or up and coming, you know what I mean? It's like they
more,
don't know.
The more indie, the more indecisive.
Yeah, exactly. And do you think that'll be better, or do you think that'll be more popular, or it's like, dude, you need to be you.
Yeah.
And then figure out the rest of the stuff.
I guess it's like lack of vision. Like I
Literally.
like people who have a vision, not people who go, I don't know. I'm like,
Right.
you know, you should know what you like and what you don't like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even if you don't necessarily know what you like, just knowing what you don't like is a good start.
Yeah.
Start there and work from there. You know what I mean?
I had a band that was literally, they're in a very specific genre, and they were very paranoid about their album. And they literally had me matching hi-hat panning and tom panning and organ tone to their heroes. And
my gosh.
I'm like, why don't you guys be yourself? Like, let's try that. See what
I mean, Vetagram Fleet,
Yeah.
Fleet, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I can't remember the name because of that reason.
Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah.
Greta Van
Whatever.
Fleet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Led
That
Zeppelin.
one. Exactly.
Shitty Led
exactly.
Zeppelin.
Yeah. Shitty cover Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
You know, you were touching a point about, you said what you don't like.
yeah.
I think what you don't like is the most important, because you can like a ton of stuff, but usually if you ask them, what do you like? Oh, I like this, I like that. And they can say
right.
everything.
Right.
What do you don't like? Oh, I
Right.
don't like this. They can point it.
Exactly.
I get sometimes.
So then
this-
we kind of work from there.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
sometimes I'll get a call. Hey, man, we want you to master this record. Great, you know, all that small talk in the beginning. But then they're like, yeah, you know, we went to someone else, we weren't happy. It's like, okay, why weren't you happy?
Right.
Okay, well, he did this and he did this. Okay, you don't like that? Then they start thinking, well, we don't like this and that, you know. And it's interesting how when you let a person lead, when you lead them to lead you to what they're not happy with, you get from point A to point Z way quicker.
Very quick.
You know, because
you're like, well, just don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Well, that obviously means do that. You know what I mean?
you have a better,
Right.
clear, you know, and you ask for pet
Right.
peeves.
Right.
One of the things that, you know, when things come to my way, you know, it's after you, it's like, now it ends in my table, right?
Right.
That's like the most stressful point with the least time domain freedom. Okay?
Right.
Because,
Right.
oh, we need it tomorrow. Yeah,
Right.
thank you. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know what.
You're at the water park with your kids.
Oh, I've done that. Universal Studios, hey, man, we need it tomorrow or now. Or
You're like,
yeah.
I'm at your park, sir.
Yeah. But here's the pet peeve that I have, is not being upfront. If you need me to do something, make a change. I did something wrong, whatever. Don't try to tell me, hey, you know, it's really cool. We love this. We love that. We love... can you maybe look at this? Why did you spend now 10 minutes sugarcoating something that you could just say, hey, man, you know, I think the symbols are too bright. Okay, let's see if it's a master thing where I brighten, or it's a mix thing where they were a bit bright, and because I had to open up the vocals, it also brightened that. But just be to the point, not because you need to shorten down the conversation, but more because we don't need all the sugarcoating.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Just tell me.
Yeah.
Believe me, I won't get offended
Right.
if I made something wrong or if I need to make a change, because you want the best and I want the best.
That's right. That's the thing we all need to realize, that we're all going for the best thing we can possibly do. And again, sometimes it's a mix between, like, you may not know what you're talking about, or a mix, you know, it's most of the time it's a taste thing. So it's a vision and a taste thing. We're here to complete the vision, right? So if we can do that, that's what we're here to do, right? It's like, tell me what the fastest way to complete the vision.
There's another that you just hit it, like artists that they get upset about a difference in taste, and it's something as simple as 3 dB too much reverb.
Yeah.
And they're like I don't know what to do about this mix. I don't. I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's just not right. And you get to the problem, and it's like, oh, you mean you want this done?
Literally.
Now you love it?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I deal with that so much. Or the worst is when there's a guy in the band who's like a mixer or something, and he just wants to give it. There's too much 2.5,
Yeah.
whatever. And you're like, dude, I tend to really like. I have a full appreciation for emotional notes. Like, to me, the best notes are like, this part's
Yes.
boring, or this part needs
Yes.
more energy.
Yes.
You could do like hi-hat 0.5 dB, like that could be
Dude.
forever. You could always do that.
Dude, oh my gosh. I had a client that would go through like number 70 revisions. The song never came out.
Yeah. No.
I was just doing a lecture on Thursday here at the Hilton, and I was showing how you can enhance groove in mastering. Like, take a song that sounds great, it's mixed well, everything good, but you can actually make people nod their head even more, you know? And I showed examples, and, you know, everybody wants to get the recipe.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy there who was asking me, how do you do that? And look, I can give you, I don't want to call it tips and tricks because it's not, but I can give you a pathway. You know, think of this, think of that, you know? And one of the takes that I was, you know, telling people, take this out from here, is understand what low end is. Most of the time, people will give you mix notes or mastering notes on low end without understanding that what that mix note is or mastering note is actually hindering the result. When you say, oh, I need more low end, what do you mean more low end? Do you mean a sub or bass? Or like, be focused, because low end is just like saying, I like to look at the sky. There's,
Right.
you know, which clouds, it's too
Right.
big. You know,
Right.
be precise on where you're heading with. And also, sometimes we really don't know what we're doing, but the result is what we like and what they like. Like, they can say, how did you get that vocal to sound like that? Or how did you get that drum? And I'm like, I don't know, it just worked. Because you were going by emotions. You were adjusting the level of the verse or the guitars there, or, you know, you were adjusting the kick, but you weren't adjusting it to make the kick loud. You were just adjusting it to balance right with the snare. But it made you nod your head. So you're not aware that, oh, that's the trick I did. No, I just went with my gut feeling. I just felt the balance. And we have to also accept that that's part of the magic. You know, we go with what we feel, which can work or not.
Can I get some of what you're smoking, man?
What?
No, honestly, great talk, guys. We could talk forever. Great set of people here. I'm very honored to be sitting down with these amazing individuals, changing and shaping the game as we speak. Thank you so much for joining us live at NAMM 2025. Cloud Mics, big shout out. Thank you so much for giving us a space to just be ourselves. And we really appreciate that. Like you said, Maor, you know, it's a community, you know, so we definitely appreciate our community. We'll see you guys next time. Faders of the Lost Art. Peace.
Nice.
Don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe. And see you next time on Faders of the Lost Art.